I'll be doing reflection. So, actually, my bad. Let me go ahead and make a proper introduction. Celestial rising, divine the noon, and divine night to all the observations watching this mindful message. It's a divine reflection, divine messenger, and we are back with another message to understand. For today, we're going to basically be covering the gender inversion, and I think I have 4 to 3 questions, and I forgot my tripod in the room, but it's all good. I don't mind holding my camera for today. We're just going to do it the bootleg style, but as we can see, I'm just going to react to the questions that you all have. And I don't know how long this video will be, but I'm going to basically give you my honest thoughts that can help you and guide you into what you all are at least considering to question, only because you want to become open-minded into what you don't want to fall into. And I appreciate you all for even coming to me for the questionings, because I don't know your genetics, but spiritually, intuitively, it can help me understand and decipher who you are being just by the questions that you're asking. So thank you all for, your support. Thank you all for even just taking the time out of your day to ask me questions and to still continue to be guided by the ignorance that I'm always going to be spewing out no matter what, which is exactly why contradict everything, question everything. Don't overdo it, and do it to an extent, and be aware what extent. Be aware of the extent that you are contradicting, because when you know what you know, you don't have to say what you know, which is exactly why silence is basically self-explanatory. Let's get into the video. I know I'm not a transgender being. Genuine question. I'm androgynous, especially now that I've been locked up for 2 years and 5'9", but it's obvious I'm a female and feel comfortable as a woman. I love being a woman, but growing up, I get insults like that, especially because I've always been taller than people. It'd be the short guys insulting me. I had one astral projection experience back in 2020, and it was something way different from this topic. First and foremost, thank you for coming to me with questions, and I do apologize for the angle, but who gives a fuck? So for that first question, and I don't want to even have key points for this, I just want to go off the dome, excuse me, just because I want to get to work today. This is my 6th video for today, and it's only 3:08 a.m. So I just want to keep the flow going. I just want to make sure that, no, it's really my 7th video, because the Patreon, that was an hour and some change. But anyways, so I just want to keep the flow going. Now, let's start with the first part. How do I know I'm not a transgender being? For one, you will never know. But you can know genetically, physically. You can know through your filtrum. I think that's what this thing is right here. And as you can tell, everything about me is just biologically masculine. But if you had to question your being, that's how you know you're genetically altered. Because I never, and this is not to bring down anybody who is genetically altered. I don't care if you're over here. I do not give a fuck if you are trans, gay, lesbian, straight, homophobic. I don't give a fuck what I don't care if you're a Satanist. I don't care if you're Luciferian. I don't care if you're spiritual. I don't care if you're conscious. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're a Buddhist. I don't give a fuck what you are. I don't care. All I care about is the fact that you know what you do not know. And because you want to know, you're questioning that. That's all I can help you do. Guide you to that water, but I will never make you drink this type of information, because these topics aren't talked about because people hate themselves and they don't even know themselves genetically or through gender ideals. So you will never know that you're a transgender being. But it's the fact that there are people who are forensic analysis, people who study these different things that I know personally. I know one, there's somebody else who, I ain't gonna speak on what she did, but either way it goes, she still watches my videos and you may see her comment or whatever. I'm not gonna say who it is, but she'll comment. But she's also somebody that you could have went to, but she just has to go through her own shit. But one person, Skull and Gate, and I know Skull and Gate go through a lot. So, right now, I'm in that different phase of finding somebody who can genuinely just help me decipher people's genetics, whenever I need them to. But like I stated, I can't have things when I want them, and I'm thankful for that, because you don't work for me. So I don't expect nobody to make the videos or make the posts on somebody that I tell them to because I told you to. No, that's not fair. But the thing is how I'm able to decipher it. Just your clavicle or your forehead, just the window behind your solar, or let's say your physical 3rd dimensional lens, your voice, your throat, the way you walk, your stance, your philtrum as well, if you got surgery, your pharmaceuticals that you may take behind closed doors, the things that you say. Those are the ways that I'm able to decipher it. Now, genuine question, I'm androgynous. Excuse me. So you basically admit it. You admit it in two different realms. You already know that gender is not a real concept. Obviously, if you have to say you're androgynous, that literally means that you are in tune with your masculine and feminine. So technically speaking, humanity literally is androgynous. If we were to label ourselves as that, but people still can't fathom that nor comprehend it. And there is no point of even trying to get people to understand that. As long as you know what you know, that's all that matters. And once you know what matters to you, people will have to follow what you think matters. Pathetic. So, especially now that I've been locked up for 2 years, I don't know what you meant by LOCED, locked up or loped up. I'm just going to bypass that. And you're 5'9", but it's obvious I'm a female. It's obvious to who? Understand, I'm not here to degrade or even bring anybody down. That's not what I strive to do on this channel. Even in real life, I do not want to bring anybody down. Even if people bring me down, all I can do is just hold up a mirror. I gotta use a disclaimer for everything because people are fucking sensitive, so I apologize. But it's obvious that I'm a female. It's obvious to you, but to people who are conscious, we don't know who's male or female anymore because we understand that realistically, majority of society is transgender, and it sucks. And it's not in a negative way, but it sucks to know that you can't procreate with somebody because genetically they were altered into being experiments for Baphomet worshipers. That's as simple as I can make it. And I know it's complicated to understand. That's why that's not my obligation to help you understand what that means. Because the English language is a manipulating tactic that we use constantly. It's a tool for mind control. And that's the case every time I make a video. You have to literally just listen to what I'm saying, but don't believe it. Do your own research. Interpret it the way that you want to by contradicting what I'm saying, because in this video, I contradict everything. So when you sit and become mindful, you can now meditate on what these things are being, because to you, you are a female, but what is a female to a male? That also came from a female that was also a male. And if your mom or your dad is altered genetically, then biologically, what are you being? Imagine if you knew that your mom was your dad and your dad was your mom and you're born to be a biological man or woman. How would you feel and how would you interpret that? What does that mean then? You would basically be classified as androgynous, but realistically, you are a man or a woman. And there are only two genders, men and women. All this other shit is just delusion. It's just all delusion. It's all mind control. It's all tactics that people use to validate their victim mentality because they want profit or they want to gain something out of what you don't understand. So yeah, it's obvious to you that you're a female, but to the majority of us, we don't know. We don't know who the fuck is being female or male. And the thing is too, once you understand the taller somebody is, the more you would consider yourself to be masculine. That's the whole entire point, to make sure that you don't know height-wise, weight-wise, mindset-wise. It's the whole entire technology aspect to make you not become aware of who you were being in as far as the costume. And you feel comfortable as a woman. That's the spell. You're comfortable in your femininity whole entire time. If you had to admit that you're androgynous, or if you had to admit that, by you saying, how do I know I'm not a transgender being? As a man, you're comfortable living in a woman's costume. So consciously, your nature came from masculinity, but consciously you made a choice to insult or mock yourself because you did something that nobody knows, but only you know, and you got to sit with that. And your reminder is your physical nature. It goes against yourself, and it's a paradox. So you love being a woman, and that's good. I mean, love being who you want to be. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to not love yourself. I mean, if you love being a man, that's cool. Either way it goes, men and women don't fucking matter, spiritual beings. But growing up, I get insults like that. And the thing is, if you're growing up getting insults, because you said, especially because I've always been taller than people, and that doesn't mean just because you're taller that you are a man, because I know some women who are just tall and they're just tall biologically. I think they're biologically themselves. I don't even know at this point because I haven't even asked those people in my past because that was in what, elementary and middle school. But you said because I've always been taller than people and you get insults for that. And it's the short guys insulting you. Realize this. Those short guys are literally women or could be. Remember, this is all speculation. This is all assumption. It's all a hypothesis. It's basically all an opinion because we really don't know because we're not in their body. So you had to sit here and be able to be open-minded into just having a conversation about these things because you being insulted, a lot of times insults have some truth, but there is no truth. So what is truthful about an insult if it's not coming from somebody who's insulting themselves by casting it onto you? If that's the case, all they're doing is making fun of what they see themselves being in through you. So if short guys or short women are insulting you, they basically know that you are a boy in a tall girl's body at that age, and they understand that to make you not really be aware that they had to bring you down to their level because it happened to them. So in their realm, that's normal to make fun of people who don't know themselves. But whole entire time, there are many beings out there who are anomalies. They're abnormal genetically because they don't know their own genetics because intuitively, your parents and their actions were not aware of what they sacrificed through you. So many people that we come across have literally been put into satanic ritual abuse on the highest traumatic experience ever. That's all this stuff really is anyway. That's why I'm so glad people don't watch my videos because I know that the ones who do, you realize that this whole world is literally just a play upon predatory acts that have no body. All these beings are just thought forms that people come up with. But spiritually, we are at war with principalities and virtues and dominions. All these beings are basically our brothers and sisters, our future selves that are stuck in the shadows. That means that you are going to war with yourself in the future. So who do you think the CIA is basically monitoring? Yourself. I had one astral projection experience back in 2020, and it was something way different from this topic. That's the point. In 2020, they had to come out with that sterilizing manipulation juice to get you juiced up into not being aware of who you are genetically. So in 2020, when people got that, that's when they told themselves, now we can alter and rewire all the beings that we see today. So all the people that you know who didn't know how to get that out of their body, they have now been manipulated genetically to the point to where now they're not realizing their truth anymore and they're stuck under a hive mentality that's inside their system. So they're literally getting leached on internally because they don't know why they were being brought down here in the first place. So that answers the first question. So shout out to you, Four-Eyed Fart 8117. All right, Obadiah. Let's go and pause this. Hey, Reflection, thank you for the videos. I just got some questions for the gender inversion thing. If consciousness doesn't have a gender, why does it matter if someone is originally male or female? And when you say gender inversion, do you mean it literally like a surgery or something, or is it like a hormonal? Because I did my face overlay and it came back as inverted, but it's not like I want to be a mom and be intimate with a man all of a sudden. So how would gender inversion... I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. It's just like, I know what you mean because I'm gonna explain that. So how would gender inversion impact my identity or sense of self and other? Plus, I thought consciousness inherently had a masculine and feminine polarity. So where is the deception? I just want to know why it matters and what it means. Is it karma? Did I literally do this to myself? And it's not funny. It's not funny, but the truth hurts. That's why all I can do is just laugh at the pain that people experience. And the thing is, I mean, I've experienced in my family people who have been trafficked through their own inversion. That's why it hurts to even talk about these topics because imagine, I ain't gonna even say nothing. But, so let's start with the first part. I just got some questions for the gender inversion thing. If consciousness doesn't have a gender, why does it matter if someone is originally male or female? That's the thing. It doesn't matter. And I'm glad you asked that because let's be honest here. We're going to have an open dialogue because people are afraid to speak their truth. Not me. I don't care how the fuck I feel. I don't care how anybody else feels. Gender is a constructed program that organisms had to structure with the chaotic inversion of their own cellular makeup. So genetically, a bunch of observations, scientifically made up inversions that told them what they thought they knew. And that's why the play upon gender really became manipulation. We're going to lie on the woman and make a story about his opinion, but the reader won't know, or the consumer won't know, that his opinion is also her story and his interpretation of what she was saying the whole entire time. But because genetically his story was altered, nobody understands the truth about the Bible. Any book in the world that you read, any author, any influencer, any pastor, any preacher, any teacher, any professor, any politician, any celebrity, even parents, nobody will know the truth because it's been inverted for a reason. It's been inverted since biblical time periods. That's why people have to ask themselves, without language, how dumb was humanity? Wait a minute. Now the question strikes an opinion. Because the spirit already understands that the questioning of labels does not matter to the labeling of the question. Because the question is, what is gender to God? You hear that silence? There would never be an answer in the first place. Why is that? Because God would never give a fuck. And I'm saying God loosely because that's not even God's name. Only Satanists or Satan beings or worshipers or Baphomet entities that have been extraterrestrial specimen of our form we put in the thought that crawled into this dimension, these beings were able to attract and magnetize how they felt about themselves onto our costumes. Because why? We consented and sold our nature to beings that lost their way. Because of that way, since ancient time periods, what have we done? The same exact spell. We give birth, we classify the label of this identity or the ego, and then what do? We sacrifice it to a system. And that's why our forefathers, whatever you want to call your ancestors, they are the reason why we are in where we are in today. Not only just that, you are your ancestors. So you are the reason why you are in where you are in today. Now, if consciousness doesn't have a gender, why does it matter if someone's originally male or female? That's the problem. Who does it matter to? Spiritual beings don't care about this shit. But that's exactly why holding on to your energy matters the most. It's like at this point in life, it's hard to go every day and say, that's a woman, that's a man, because realistically, you don't know. And there are a lot of times to where you're not going to sit here and say, hey, remove your shirt so I can see your clavicle. So you don't know. And that's the point. They want you to go insane about this shit. So you got to just basically tell yourself or assume the person in front of me could literally be a transgender. That does not mean you sit here and spew hate towards them or you make them feel less than. No, you uplift them or you just simply go about your day. That'd be the thing right there. I don't understand why people actually care about gender constructs. Okay, you've been hurt by a woman, so you think all women are hoes. And now as you grow up, you mistreat the woman to where you don't want to have a daughter because you don't want her to end up like the woman that you've encountered. Whole entire time when you get this daughter, now you don't want to own up to your mistakes in the past to where now you put it on your daughter to where you're more strict on what she was going to do anyway. And whose fault is that? That's exactly why I wouldn't even care if I had a son or a daughter. I want both if that was the case. I want to have both. The thing is too, I want to have a son first so that he can protect my little girl. That's why I don't give a fuck about this shit. I don't. That's why once I learned more and more, I realized that the person who taught me about this stuff, they wanted me to hate what they were traumatized by. And here's what I understood to as a divine being of divinity, because of course that's Gnosticism. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm divine, because for one, I'm the messenger for divinity, and divinity has no articulation. So I'm speaking in silence and people still can't hear my truth out loud. What I understood was, through this gender inversion, if I become like the teacher that taught me gender inversion, I'm going to be right down here in this realm that she's stuck in emotionally. That's why I don't give my emotions to anybody, because I don't give a fuck anymore. When I started caring, I lost my way. When I started to stop caring, I lost my way. So now what way do I have? I can't go this way, I can't go that way. I stay still. I stay in the motion by being balanced with my emotions. I want to feel some kind of way. There are days where I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to be frustrated. There are days I want to feel this and that. But it's hard for me to feel my feelings when my feelings don't belong to me, because I'm at peace with what I don't care for anymore. The moment I told myself, I want to climb down this rabbit hole called life of inversion, I said, okay, it got to a point to where I seen so many different things, astral projected to so many different experiences, and seen so many constructs that we have been under a spell in infinitely. I told myself, that's the final answer. There is no answer to bring awareness towards what's going on. It's too deep. It's too deep. That means that if we go our whole lives wanting to know what we don't know, we will always drown in the unknown. I'd rather know where I'm going in life now. I already know these different things. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop learning about this shit. Fuck no. I'm going to still learn, but I know spiritually these things are third dimensional care or caring processes that the ego cares about. Spiritually, I'm in realms that never gave a fuck about language barriers. Just that simple. I was making sure nobody pulling up and shit, but that was just the air coming on. So, yeah. And when you say gender inversion, do you mean it literally like a surgery or something, or is it like hormonal? Their surgical procedure is hormonal. It's whatever you want to consider it to be. But yes, surgically, they all got their original gender removed, or their programs removed. So a lot of these people, for example, there are a lot of women out here who are walking around with dicks. It's just that simple. What do you think your favorite NBA player is? My bad. What do you think your favorite NBA player is? Joanna Man was not just a movie. It was literally a interpretation of what people idolize every single day. That's why sports are literally sex magic. It's a ritual, because these people are perverted. That's why they tell you to hold on to your energy so you can be the best player, or whatever the case may be. But the whole entire time, you are being trafficked into being buck broken into where you are today. So LeBron James is not the greatest scorer of all time. He's not better than Kareem. He's not better than Will. He's not better than whoever your fucking GOAT is. Michael Jordan is not the greatest basketball player of all time. Kobe Bryant is not the greatest basketball player of all time. Anybody in the NBA that you see is really a grown-ass woman playing with your mind, putting a ball into the hoop. And you watch a lot of motherfuckers getting their balls dropped, getting their ego dropped off, getting crossed, all this different stuff. You see a lot of motherfuckers with dicks in their mouth and shit, niggas riding on their shoulders and all that stuff. That's by design. They want you to teabag your opponent. They want you to, this corny ass, this little trend that these kids are doing, like, oh, head top, whole entire time. That's a submissive act. That's why, like, as I've seen basketball gradually grow, all this stuff is surgical. So a lot of these men, so a lot of your teammates, a lot of your friends, or the people that you watch, they don't have boobs like you think a woman would have, but they have man boobs. Because why? They went through surgery at a young age. All this shit is just scientific sexual inversion research that has been in the marketplace of Google or the black market. So it's not surprising when you understand why they're doing this stuff. It's because society has allowed it. People are so distracted every single day by working, going to school, and caring about things that don't matter, that they have forgotten about what's really going on behind closed doors. How can you care when you got all these things happening in your life at once? How? At a young age, how can you know what's going on when you don't know what's going on? As an adult, how can you have freedom to know what the fuck is going on? That's why you have to be your own boss to make time for yourself. So when people say, bro, you got too much time on your hands. Yeah, bitch, I'm a fucking boss. I get to the money. I make money attract to me because I want time for myself. I'm not gonna work for nobody for the rest of my fucking life like you are because you're miserable. That, and the thing is too, it doesn't matter about men and women. No, as a man or as a woman, you strive to open your genetics to being aware of how free you are spiritually. When you do the work every day, you stop caring about things like this because why? They're meant to make you, oh man, I may be a transgender. I may be this. I may be genetically altered. Well, nobody's gonna love me. What the fuck? I'm sorry, but if I wasn't biologically a man, I would still do what the fuck I'm doing today. Only difference is I would have a video telling you about my altering. But I can't do that, can I? Until somebody try to troll me, and guess what? Them trolls are quiet now, huh? Stop playing with me. No reference to anybody out there. But when I literally mean stop playing with me, I don't got time for trolling. I do this shit. Like, come on, bruh. Like, niggas, people, like their expectations, people's realization on life is just such a facade that people don't understand that there are a bunch of ascended beings who are wearing your costume. So consciously, we know you more than you know yourself. How is that possible, Satan? Because I did my face overlay, it came back as inverted. Okay, so now you know that you're a transgender. So now, Obadiah, what do we do now? Okay, cool, you're inverted. Should you hate yourself? No. That was your choice, but we'll get into that though. But it's not like I want to be a mom and be intimate with a man all of a sudden. So how would gender inversion impact my identity or sense of self and other? I like that. It would impact your identity, not your spirit. Understand that. You're answering your own question. I'm not getting upset with you or whatever, but I want you to really understand when you all give me questions, you already answered it before it was even asked. So it's like you're praying and expecting an answer from a deity that you consider to be God-like whole entire time. God will never give you what your answers think they are like, because what are your answers like when your answers have already been answered in silence? So it would impact you because, for one, you will lose your sense of self by wanting to see yourself in others. What the fuck? In others. So if that's the case, this means that consciously, your thoughts inherently, by being, so plus I had a thought conscious, my fault. I think somebody was trying to open the door, that just threw me off. But had a masculine and feminine polarity, so where's the deception? The deception is in polarity. Because you're telling yourself that you don't want to be a mom nor be intimate with a man. Understand, you're going to go find your tribe now. That's what impacts your identity. So even if you find a biological person or a woman or whatever that you're into, you will still have to be honest with yourself. You can hide who you are all you want, but if they find out who you're being, they may not care, but spiritually, you should care about the truth that you know about now. It's like somebody having HIV or AIDS. You can't go around laying with partners not telling them what you have. That's crazy. That's a crime. You can go to prison for that. And the thing is, too, you may get your ass killed for not even telling somebody about this stuff. That's why people who will go through this, they got to tell them what they are being. And if the person doesn't care, that's on them. Plus, I thought, I'm trying to make sure I can hear the vibrations outside. No, I feel like somebody's listening. Plus, I thought consciousness inherently had a masculine and feminine polarity. So where is the deception? The deception came from you thinking that consciousness could identify with masculine and feminine polarities. That's what your ego wanted to come up with because you have memories attached to your masculine and feminine side. I want you to understand there's a parallel universe that has conjoined itself together to where you're experiencing divine masculine and divine feminine. Meaning that, for example, honestly speaking, I'm able to attract both sides of women because I understand the woman. I understand women who are transgender. I understand women who are biologically being women. Why is that? Because I understand that spiritually it struck them first. Obviously, it struck them first by even having history attached to it. So that's the case. I put myself into being open-minded with their feelings. Yes, they do talk a lot, but I listen in the words that they talk about a lot because they're basically being vulnerable in that moment. When you hear a woman's submission and her vulnerability, you'll be able to understand her intimacy with herself because she wants to be loved on by what she thought was supposed to be masculine, but she has not had a masculine figure in her life because that version left her. So when you understand what left her, you now have to be able to understand how can you find or obtain this image that you can hold on to that was supposed to leave you in the first place. Because the story of that man that you wanted to have in your life was supposed to leave you so you can find out who you are being and what you left behind, the masculine side of your consciousness. You just want to know why it matters and what it means. To be honest, it doesn't matter. Plain and simple, it does not fucking matter. It only matters to human beings. And no offense to anybody, because yes, somebody gonna say, nigga, you're a human being. I understand that, but that's the thing. I have to go against that. So for example, I know that physically I have a birthday, I have a day I was born, I got, working, doing content. I understand that I'm a part of the human experience, but that's the thing though. Consciously, I realize that I'm a part of the human experience, but I'm not a human being, but I'm pretending to be a human in this human experience of humanity's experiences that are systematically enslaving themselves into what we hold on to as far as feelings. That's why when you don't put feelings to labels, you leave the matrix. My bad, Masonic tricks. Is it karma? Yes and no, because karma does not exist. So basically, you chose to come down here and do this spell upon yourself because you wanted to leave what you were worshiping. And the thing is, even if you read the Bible, in the beginning there was what? Bullshit. The Bible will tell in Genesis, in the beginning there was what? False light, inversion. They told your ass that. In the beginning, they had the microscope, they had this light came on, they were monitoring cells. And now they put a story into what scientists were studying our cells splitting apart from. That's all Adam and Eve are. So did I literally do this to myself? Yes, you did. You did. And it's okay because once you realize that, now the journey of self-healing comes into play. So if you choose to have sex with transgenders, do so. I mean, I don't know why. And the thing is too, at some point you gotta start living, bro. Like if you want to go ahead and do that, that's on you. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to do that, but if you choose to do that, I'm not gonna fucking stop you. If you choose to have sex with biological women, that's on you. Go ahead and have fun. Or men, whatever you're into, it doesn't matter. And the thing is, somebody can say, people are gay for doing this or that. For one, what the hell does gay even mean to you? That's like once you start questioning these things, people look at you like you're weird. But it's like you're weird for not questioning the words that you are saying. It's like people are saying things that hold no meaning. Like, have you became that unconscious to where people just start name calling motherfuckers and you don't even know what the fucking word means? Like, what the hell is gay to somebody who's straight with themselves? Whole entire time, your mom could have been gay before she gave birth to you. But you don't call your mom gay. You don't call your dad gay. And the thing is, your dad is your mom. And your mom is your dad. So is that gay? So yes, people who go through this shit, that's their karma. So biologically, that's why we have to be alone. And it sucks. Because it's like, damn, bro. I'm at a place in my life to where I enjoy sitting with myself. I enjoy seeing my purpose. I enjoy seeing my future. Every single day, I'm in my house in my big ass room with a master bed to where I can do a backflip. I can do a front flip on this bed. And I can still do the same exact front flip 10 times because my bed is just that long. I see myself having memories of being in college and all that. Why is that? I free myself from karma. Because why? Karma will never go against itself in my world. So I understand that what goes around comes around. If that's the case, I'm going to move with love. I don't have hate for anybody who does whatever they do behind closed doors. I don't care what you do, bro. I know for me, honestly, if I was to have a family, it has to be with a biological woman. And if I don't want to have children, I'm just not going to have sex. Because what is that? Who has sex? What? That's the lowest form of alchemy. It's pointless to have sex with people because you want to have pleasure. Boo. That's corny. That's lame as fuck. So yes, you did this to yourself. And you are at fault for that. And then GKNE. I'm not going to show this because you had this girl, and I don't want to expose her, but you said reflection. I had this shawty trying to link with me. I'm asking myself, is she a biological woman or the opposite? And I said, when you see her clavicle, is it straight? And then he showed a picture, and I said, no, he was like, it looks hard to tell in this pic. And then he sent another one. Tell me why this girl has black angel wings in the picture and her clavicle is straight. And so I basically said, straight clavicle, but that doesn't mean it's a boy, but it can mean it's a boy. It doesn't mean it's a boy, but it can mean it's a boy. What do you mean? Realize, if you went up to a girl and you seen, or a biological woman, and you seen that her clavicle was straight, and you said, you're transgender because your clavicle is straight. If she gives you the proof or even just the receipts of her not being a transgender, not being altered at birth, you will look stupid as fuck. And that's okay. Because why is that? We should not be in the realm, of being confused about alterings of genetics that humanity is literally stuck under. So I said gematria can also work with the alignment, and that's how you can tell, but that clavicle explains it all to me. Then he said, good catch reflection. Ever since I was introduced to forensics, it has changed the way I view things. And I said, I'm gonna make a video on this because 2 people asked me the exact same thing today. And that's how you are able to tell. I mean, all you gotta do is get the first and last name of somebody and then do gematria on them. So when people say, like, nobody can ever, once I cleared the air that I was never transphobic, I was never homophobic, nobody can ever call me names again. I don't hate these people like you do. That just goes to show that people are homophobic and transphobic against themselves. If you are, when I realized too, when somebody who taught me about this shit, when she was projecting her hatred of transgenders onto me, I told myself, you need to fucking heal. Because what I realized too, when she did her skull and gate on my family, I asked myself, damn, there's 2 ways I can go about this. And I ain't gonna lie, I did shed a tear, I cried. When I knew the truth of my family, that's when I knew, like, bro, I'm never gonna stop exposing this shit. Once I knew that, I told myself I can either go down the path of hating them, going down the path of resenting them, going down the path of putting them to shame and making them feel guilty of being in their costume, or to ascend myself in the journey that I know is just temporary for me, but I'll be known for this temporary experience. I know that my ascension will come with the love I gave to everybody else that lost that way of feeling. That's what hurts the most, to know that Luciferians got a chokehold on people that have been altered genetically. And I can't feel no kind of way about that because I'm just glad, I'm grateful every day that I'm biologically a man. That's why when I notice that people have idol worshipers that they look up to, I said, you care about celebrities? Yeah, get away from me. Or you think your family's your family? Yeah, get away from me. Like, you care about, eating chicken or this and that. You care about food a lot. Yeah, get away from me. You care about social media or even trends or influencers. Get away from me. People who care about delusions like money and politics. Yeah, get away from me, because that's the LGBTQ agenda from the Vatican. So why would I want you to be around me when you're stuck in the hive mind? That means artificially, I don't want any ancient intelligence that's not aware of itself to be near me, because why? You're draining. You're draining. I gain my energy by being alone. And why is that? I know my tribe. My tribe will come and find me because they understand why I'm alone. Look around you. They live. They're everywhere. So, of course, they're going to hang around themselves. That's exactly why when I look at my classroom, I don't really see many people around me and shit. And I'm glad, because why? When you speak consciously, these beings have to say, I never heard nobody talk like that. You never heard anybody contradict their thoughts? But you believe in Jesus Christ? Man, get the fuck out of here. Once I knew humanity became appalled or even distraught because I was talking like this, even in classrooms, I said, they're still teaching the inversion in the classroom. So I said to myself, there's no point in me even forming bonds with these people. They're everywhere. So what am I gonna do? Man, I hate all trans. I don't give a fuck. I love you for being in your costume. I don't have to associate with you. But they have a conversation with me. What am I gonna do? Hey, do you know yourself? Why are you here? What's your purpose? Do you know yourself genetically? Has your cells told you about where you are spiritually? If not, why are you talking to me? What's the point of you talking to me? Why do you want to be around me? Why are you watching my videos? Come on, bro. And the thing is too, the same exact way I talk online about this shit, excuse me, I'll do the exact same thing in person because I have love for everybody. And I will never disrespect people that have no control of their physical makeup. I mean, if you were born as a child or adolescent or an infant, how can you sit here and say, hey, I don't want to be altered? No. Before you had this body, you told yourself, physically, I'm going to be altered because that was your choice. And somebody's going to say, I didn't make that choice. You're fucking lying. How am I lying, Divine? How am I lying, Darius? You don't know me. You don't know. I know exactly what the human being or the human mind will say because the mind is so easy to read. Once you get into psychology and neuroscience, once you awaken the subconscious mind, reading people is such an easy practice to where I don't even care to do it no more because honestly, everybody tells them themselves every single fucking day. It's easy to read a human being. Look at what they're being. They're being their lies and they project them every single day. So it's like when you understand that these people hate themselves, look at their insecurities. When you wake up, washing your face, drinking water, fasting, doing what you care to do, when people see you, for example, it's 3:48 a.m. Somebody's probably seeing me walking outside my apartment, they're gonna make a video. They're like, bro, why is this person doing that? While you sleep, I'ma live. They live and we sleep. I refuse to be asleep in this fucking nightmare called life. Fuck no, I'm finna figure out why this shit happened. And I told myself this year, when I first understood this shit, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna sit here and twiddle with my thumbs and just say, man, this shit's too much for me, bro. I'm not gonna talk about this stuff no more. Hell no. From what I knew in February, whatever, till now, it's transcended my thought process. Now, every single day I understand, these people are nothing but a hoax. They're all holographic illusions that have been planted to control the real opposition. And that's the chaos that we have no control of. So when the ego cares about genders, you are now constructing more fallacies that you hold on to. And that's exactly why we are born into the bucket that crabs are trying to escape from. When I left the bucket, I didn't even look back at the crabs that were trying to climb out. First of all, I didn't even climb out. I just levitated up outside the bucket. They don't tell you that in that metaphor or in that statement or that quote or whatever. The crab in the bucket mentality. Yeah. What happens if the crowd, or no, not the crowd. What happens if the crab levitates? Or what happens if the crab transcends, climbing the ignorance that ignorance is pulling down or pulling itself back down to? Why not just transcend the crowd that is stuck in their misery? Have you ever seen a crab in a bucket? When you watch it, why not be the crab that gets help from a being that wanted to help you the entire time? The big man upstairs, but wait a minute, how is that a man upstairs when it's just your mom and your dad guiding you along the way? That means in a higher dimension, in the quantum realms, your mom and dad don't have a fucking gender. They're basically being in the now. They're being in the now, unified into what now cannot comprehend. When you leave the English language, when you leave language in general, there is no such thing as gender constructs because why? Your mom and dad is the infinite manner that you can never construct. They're basically being the present moment that infinitely you hold on to in the observation that you are connected into spiritually. The Holy Trinity is what? Honor who? Honor Lucifer and Satan, your mom and your dad, but wait a minute, why would I honor programs? When you understand, you love them for what they have not became aware of, you forgive yourself. But you never forget what they did to themselves onto you. That's why when you know your family, when you have a spiritual awakening, and I can only speak from experience, when you have a spiritual awakening and you meet your spiritual family, they're literally watching you from a higher plane of existence. So your mom and your dad was handpicked by you because you knew that you were never here to help them save themselves, but you knew that saving yourself was going to help them realize what they were being. because your parents are being who you are in currently right now. So who do you think your angelic guides or your non-angelic guides are? Your guardian angels, who do you think those are being? Your left and your right, who do you think that is, or what do you think that is? They are you and you are them, but you don't have a identity to even hold on to, because it's all a version of consciousness that people had to put labels to, or even words to. Words or spells, they're enchantments. It's literally witchcraft. When you escape from witchcraft, you can't be under the spell of your own spell castings, because who is the wizard of a world called life when life was not giving birth to what it was giving death to? And if you give birth to more life, what are you doing? You're killing it to gain more life for yourself. That's the karmic cycle of life. Bring more children, bring more sacrifices, bring more goyim, bring more enslaved Christ consciousness into this realm, to where now we can alter their gender, to where they won't know themselves, and every single day they will follow a false version of their version of God that they look up to the whole entire time. It's just Baphomet alterings that people have been casted into worshiping through the ideal version of satanic illusions that false awakening or illuminating beings called the Illuminati, or the branches or the umbrella of occultic societies, have placed upon our families for us to be mentally enslaved into always submitting to, just because we have a parents to submit to whole entire time. Your submission is your damnation. Have a great and divine day, divine reflection.